Hola y bienvenidos to episode 4 of Las Weavers, a raw and divinely led podcast. Welcome. It is September 22nd by the time you listen to this. And this is a raw and divinely led podcast because you get to witness a conversation between myself and La Doctora Dulce, my co-host. Y there are no edits, so you're going to get it how it happened.
Gracias. Welcome, everybody. Welcome those that have joined us before. Bienvenidos to the new people that are here. I just want to start by just saying thank you to Doctora Sandra for holding the space for us. And I know you're extremely busy. You have so many things going on, but this podcast felt like it was birthed through us, and we had been talking about it, and we just said, let's just do it. Hay que aventarnos y a ver ¿qué podemos brindar? Like, what can we offer? And so truly, when you come into this space, whether you hear us or you see us on YouTube, we want you to feel that we are holding this space for ourselves and for you and each other. And that the conversations that we bring up, that we have, are things that we have been processing, things that we have been learning. So no es como que, van a entrar y nosotras tenemos todas las respuestas. That's not what this is. This is truly a place where we can be raw and learn together and bring up conversations and topics that I believe are truly powerful for our life journey. Y a veces uno piensa, no, pues estas dos ya tienen su doctorado, ya tienen todo establecido, you're all established, you have it all down. But truly, this is a space for us to grow and learn in community. Yeah.
Yes. And there's reciprocity and healing here. There's an airplane going by my house, y'all. So ignore that sound. I live right by an airport. And we are simultaneously healing with you. I pray for, to be divinely guided anytime that we meet into this space, because I truly want to be my full authentic self. And so whatever comes up, that's what's going to come out. And so today's episode is El Portal y Vortex, Synchronicity, Alignment, and Flow.
Thank you. So when we were planning for this plática, the first thing that came to my mind is how I manifested Sandra. So I wanted to share that story with you all because it's truly a depiction of what it means to be in the portal and in the vortex. And we're going to give a brief description of what that is. So for me, the vortex is truly, I'm a visual person. So quiero que se imaginen, I want you to imagine like an energy force field around you that is emanating from you outwardly. And it is something that's constant. We're energetic beings. It's not woo-woo. It's not something out of this world. It's scientifically proven. And the portal for me is when we open up to this vortex. This portal opens up where alignment, flow, and synchronicity takes place. And so I'm going to give an ejemplo. So one thing that I've shared in some of our pláticas is that I've been creating a love journal for over 17 years. And in 2021, those of you that are watching on YouTube, you can see it, but here's my page. In 2021, I chose the word freedom. And probably I chose that word because 2020, we were on lockdown. So I needed and I wanted some freedom. But really, it was about the freedom to be more fully myself. Like todas las partes de mí, lo bueno, lo difícil, the joyful, the playful, the painful. And as I was creating this intention page, right, this like seeding collage, I wrote a prayer underneath about being able to offer my soul work internationally. And so I just set the intention. I wrote it down. I prayed over it. And around that time, I had met Sandra virtually. And in the background, she was manifesting and creating this powerful, powerful conference for BIPOC clinicians, therapists, and healers to get together and connect and learn simultaneously from each other. And so long story short, she hit me up, and next thing you know, it felt like a blink of an eye. Estamos in Cancun, and that was just this February. And so I bring in this plática of the portal and our vortex because I truly believe that the more aligned we are with who we are, the more aligned we are with what our intention is and why we're coming up with this intention, not from ego, but to truly heal en comunidad. And then there was Sandra, and I just felt so honored to be with her and all the other presenters, and really all the people that came to the conference. It was very divinely led. I'm definitely going to put a plug that the conference for the upcoming conferences next year, y va a ser en Jamaica en febrero también. So, look her up, register, connect. But that's kind of how I wanted to open it up. Esa experiencia, that really, really powerful experience.
Yeah. Woo. The vortex. And you introduced the vortex to me because this was kind of after we had connected. But one of the things that kept coming up for me was this portal that we were going to open in Cancun. And when you introduced me to this term, and I talked about this in Cancun as well when I was, opening up the conference, is that the vortex really depends on our collective energy, right? To open up portals into higher consciousness, to open up portals into our higher selves, right? And like you said, we get there through alignment.
Yes.
And one of the things that kind of really blew me away was that not only were you manifesting this conference, right? Where there was multiple people. Natasha Mosby had it on her vision board, right? Dr. Charmaine Jackman had it on one of her goals for the next, whatever she was planning on, her business plan, her business goals, her dream.
Yes.
And that was on everybody's. And one of the things I've told you repeatedly too is that when I think about the conference, I really want to be led to the speakers that are supposed to be there, right?
Yes.
But anyway, and I don't want to talk about the conference. This episode is not about the conference, but I wanted to tie it in because it does take energy from multiple people, from the collective, to really open up these spaces where we can access this energetic pool that's happening that creates that vortex.
That's right.
And so I want to talk about that. And as I thought about this conversation we were going to have, I've thought about the trajectory of my career and my life in general, and how things have just been in alignment, right? Even before I knew about the concepts of alignment, because I was a kid.
Yeah.
And that really has to do with following that passion, right? What is my passion and how do I follow it? I was telling one of the student interns that I supervised a couple of days ago, maybe, that when I was little and I used to direct play. So because I'm autistic, we either tend to parallel play on our own, or we direct play. And that was me. Me ponía de maestra, and I would teach my cousins and my brother, and les daba tarea, and I expected it to be turned into. And so I think about that, and I think about the things when I used to play, right? I used to play doctor. I was a doctor, right? And how things have just continued to be in alignment, and those that in my art, they continue to be these things that I have passion for.
Yes.
And I'm finding myself in spaces where I'm working within the things that I really love, and that's alignment, and that allows for flow.
That's huge. I want to tap into that part of what you're saying, because I can almost hear folks saying, but what if I don't know what my passion is? What if I don't know, what is the thing that I'm here to offer or do? And so what I would say is, I want to talk about how to tap into the vortex. And I want to share out, if y'all can, in this plática, I often say we want to give regalitos. I want to give gifts. I want you to walk away with actionable tools. So one person that I've been following and I hear a lot of is, her name is Esther Hicks, and she channels the energy of Abraham. And so they talk a lot about the vortex. This is where I learned about it. And so Esther talks about how do we step into our vortex? Because people say, okay, Dulce, I hear you saying it, pero ¿cómo le hago? Like, how do I do it? And so I'm going to pull out my journal because, again, no andamos aquí con el witty witty. We're not just talking about it. We're doing the work, right? And so for us to say, hey, let's do a podcast. Let's share out. I think it's important for us to be walking the walk as well, to be doing the work. And so as I was learning from Esther, I started making a list like, okay, well, how do I tap into the vortex? How do I put myself in that energy field? And so I les doy una lista. Sorry, I'm looking. I should have had it available and ready for us, but it's all good. So what I gathered from her videos or what she shares out is that when we're in the vortex, things come to us with ease, right? People, conversations, books, movies. There's a sense of stability inside of us. There's like this foundational strength that we carry ourselves in cuando estamos en el vortex. We tap into gratitude when we're in the vortex. We tap into our higher self and intuition so that, I don't know if this has happened to some of y'all, but you're thinking about a person and next thing you know, they hit you up. Like they call you or they text you and you're like, oh my God, I was just thinking about you. And so because you're aligned in the vortex, then more opportunities for synchronicity come in and you're open to hearing that divine voice that's guiding you. And then you begin to say yes to things that even though they're scary, you almost feel like, pues no tengo de otra, like I have to do it. What are some ways that you feel, Doctora Sandra, that you have tapped into your vortex that then brings you into these portal spaces?
Learning how to trust my intuition.
Yeah.
When I get access to information, right? And that having that inner trust, right? Like one of the things I was talking about with the clinicians, we do consultation every Wednesdays and we have this like really amazing re-indigenizing space. And one of the things that we talked about is how do I learn to trust those like intuitive nudges that come up,
yes.
right? Because we have been we're carriers of this magic and this medicina, right? So trusting that, like that inner knowing, because it's always right, right? And when there's calma and there's peace, like you mentioned, all happening together with it, then we know that this is for our highest good. We know that this is not coming from a place of purely fear, right? Or scarcity, right? Just that having that inner knowing. But when you were talking, I think about like this is also what magia is right? We have these intentions. The most powerful thing and most powerful intention we can have is gratitude.
Yes.
And sometimes I catch myself like slipping into this we call it in grad school, the slippery slope of ungratefulness, right? And doubt.
Yes.
And that is not a place where I want to trust what information my brain is giving me.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you. I think that's why for me, another regalito I want to share with y'all, if you don't already do it, I encourage you so much to do it, is to journal. Because it allows you to tap into that part of yourself, right? What practice are you currently doing that allows you to slow down, to go inward, to really get to know who you are, to kind of quiet that chatter And it's also, for me, it's very meditative, because in that way, then I am opening up my channels to be worked through, right? So as you were sharing, I finally found my little list, so I wanted to share. Pero dice aquí, when I'm in the vortex, I'm satisfied. Me siento satisfecha. So it has a lot to do with our feeling state. So it's not so much, this is not like positive affirmations. This isn't CBT, cognitive. This is really energy. Like, how are you truly feeling? So when I'm in the vortex, I feel eager, I feel appreciation, and I feel loved. I feel elated and a little bit like excited del potencial, like the potential of what could be. Energized, there's ease. My body feels good. So a lot of it has to do with good feelings, because that's the vortex that pulls you up, right? Now, can we always be in that state? No, that's not normal. Like, we cannot. And this isn't toxic positivity. It's none of that. But it's really about, how do I sustain and how do I create a solid foundation para cuando things are hard, when those days that happen, que no me siento bien, that I'm overwhelmed, like, how do I ground and reground myself and what I know to be who I truly am?
Yeah.
And it's a practice that you have to do over and over. No es nomás de vez en cuando. It's not once in a while.
And we're human, right? Like, we can't expect to consistently be in a state of just calma all the time.
No.
That is just unrealistic.
That's right.
And I think it's important to also like honor whatever our bodies are feeling, whatever it is, that, because that's also alignment. You know, I feel like some of the times where we're kind of questioning and going through doubt, that's also medicine.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's building us. And one of the things that I was thinking about as you were talking is, and this was an affirmation as I prayed like this morning, right? Like, I am a master alchemist.
Yeah.
How can I transmute energy, whether it's difficult emotions, whether it's fear and doubt? How can I transmute this? How can I utilize this, right? It's like we talk about in kids, when they have so much energy, we have to put it somewhere, right? Even rage is energy, and we got to put it somewhere.
That's right.
Well, how can I transmute whatever energy that I am having on days that I don't feel like I'm in the vortex? How can I transmute that for my highest good?
Oh my gosh, that's so powerful. And also, just like you said, honoring that, because there are days when we have to sit in it, honor it. But again, like you said, alchemize it, right? Because that's really, truly, when we talk about the vortex, it's our energy field, lo que nos estamos brindando. It's what we're emanating and what we're giving out. And so often I describe like a bubble all around us that protects us, that guides us. And so I often say, we're going to hit up against different people's own bubbles and their own stories and their own ways of being. And sometimes it triggers us, and sometimes it elevates us, right? Entonces, we have to constantly be working on our own bubble of energy and flow. And so as I shared, it's like, what practice do we all do to align to that? Because then that's what we're putting out, and then that's what comes back to us. So it's very reciprocal. And oftentimes I ask folks, like, do you brush your teeth every day? And they start cracking up like, yes, of course, I have to brush my teeth. And then I say, well, why don't we take care of our well-being, of our spiritual health, just as much as we do our dental hygiene, right? We need to take care of our spiritual health. And so when we're talking about the vortex, when we're talking about the portal, it aligns with what we shared: synchronicity, flow, and alignment, because estás caminando ese camino, like over and over. Te desvías, you go off, but then you bring yourself back. Okay, how am I going to plug into source? What am I going to do? And it could look different for all of us. And so that's something that I think is important to open up in this space, is what can you do moving forward to really bring that energy field into your life and walk that path that will then highlight these synchronistic moments that are always there, but a lo mejor we're just not mindful to see them and catch them.
Yeah. And when I am triggered, right, the way that I stay in alignment is by alchemizing that.
Mm-hmm.
Alchemizing that for my highest good, because as long as I continue to evolve, as long as I continue to, redirect myself back into alignment, right, then I'm going to be in this flow, right? I think about downloads and how I utilize that in my poetry. I utilize that in in my own journaling, and that is a way to transmute energy.
Yes.
When I'm pissed off, cuando tengo rabia, cuando siento tristeza, and I journal it, I'm transmuting that energy.
Right.
And in turn, it helps me grow. And when we talk about that inner knowing, universe se encarga to send you synchronicities.
Yes.
To confirm, to validate.
Oof.
And, I recently just shared this with a couple of people because a lot of you all have been sending me some really encouraging messages, and my reaction is like, thank you, because universe knows when I need to be encouraged, when I need to be reminded of who the fuck I am.
Oof. Thank you for saying that. I just shared that today with a group of interns. I said, my suggestion when you do receive these mensajes from folks that you needed, in my journal, I create a space called love notes, notitas de amor. And so those encouraging words, you write the date, who it came from, and what they wrote, and you quote it, because there's going to be those days where you're not feeling so damn hot, you're not feeling so good, and you're out of alignment, or just feeling down, which is fine. Then you can look at that and be mirrored, reminded quién eres, right? And it's a daily practice, right? It's like, how am I nourishing myself? And so at the core for me of the vortex and being in flow and synchronicity, and in addition to this podcast, is love, right? Like, how do I come back to that frequency of love? And that, I think at the end of the day, esa es la fundación, that's the foundation that's going to keep me going no matter what, no matter how many storms, no matter the failures, the challenges. It's like, a lo mejor soy media terca. I'm just like, I'm not going to give up, right? So I'm going to keep going no matter what. And it has been love that has sustained me through the challenges.
Mm-hmm. And, when I think about us as like weavers, we're really weaving this new world.
Yes.
And when you were talking, I'm reminded of a conversation I had yesterday with a badass patient that I see for therapy. And what's coming up for me, we talked about the collapse of the system. And my response to that is like, yes, we're weaving this new world, and the collapse of the system is going to be as a result of us collectively being rooted in love.
Eso. And it's time, right? And it's and I think it shows up in the way we show up. So I often talk about LOLing. It's like, how are we loving out loud, even if it's in small ways? And so again, I want to reiterate that when you come to this plática, when you come to this gathering with Doctora Sandra and I, my hope is that you do walk away with actionable tools. And so some of the things that we've been sharing are, journaling. Just the practice of journaling can be so powerful. Love notitas, when people write you these beautiful messages, that you capture those and you utilize them when you need them. Something that you do, Sandra, that you often share is you go into prayer and meditation with your altar. And so suggesting that somebody creates an altar, that there's a space to connect with our spiritual self, to plug into source every single day. I think is also really powerful.
Yes. And tuning in, being attuned to that voice that you have inside of you, right? That whispers, dulce, and then I'm going to shoot you a text like, hey, girl, and find out that you know, there was a reason why you dropped into my mind.
Yes.
Or that there was a reason why this thought, this sentence dropped into my mind.
Or this big dream, this huge, audacious dream of, I'm going to take all these fools, I'm going to take all these people to another country and we're going to learn together. Y que when you get this download that feels so scary, that you just let go and allow for life to lead you in that direction. And so
Yeah.
sometimes you get these big downloads, these scary ideas. I invite you to write it down. I invite you to just dream out loud and allow for things to unfold. Y las cosas se van a dar.
In the moments that you feel scared because you're following that dream, the universe will remind you who you are.
Yes, 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 yes. And I believe that whoever is here listening to this, you are here for a reason. You are here to hear this, and there's a mensaje here specifically for you. So I hope wholeheartedly that you pick it up and you move in the direction of that. Por favor, please, because it affects all of us.
Yes. It's one goal, right? We're all kind of doing our own part.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing this space with me, Dulce.
Of course, it's an honor. And, you know, I just want to tell everybody here that's listening, like, we truly come here con un corazón abierto, in a good way, humbled, grateful for this space. And I, you know, I think again about reciprocity. And so this alignment with Vortex is like, how can you give and receive? And for us, you know, making time to create this podcast, making time, we have a lot of things going on, but we're committed. And we said, el 21, el 22 de cada mes, we're going to do one. And we committed to that. And so the way that you all can help us in this way to keep giving in this way is to share this podcast, to put a comment of what stood out to you. I would love, love, love to hear like, okay, Dulce and Sandra, y'all shared this and I'm going to start doing it. So that would be amazing to hear your feedback and what you all think.
Yes. And if you're affluent, we would love to hear that you want to give us a show. Just putting it out
there. Again? Can we say that again?
I'm like, si les sobra abundancia, pues porfa. No. All right. So we'll see you all on the 22nd next month. I hope that whatever resonates, you take it. Y lo que no, pues déjalo ir.
And thank you. And shout out to that show that's coming our way. We put it in the Vortex. Gracias.
Bye.